Cousins, that didn't look good. Didn't look like what a finger's supposed to look like. How is he?
Yeah, he has a thumb injury, and obviously being reevaluated by our doctors right now. And but unfortunately, I don't have anything beyond that right now.
How sickening does that make you feel?
Well, it's been a positive week for him. Look, he was obviously very excited about where he was drafted, and then coming in and getting to know our staff and getting to know the city. It's been a great week, so it's certainly a little bit of disappointment, but let's see where it's at from our doctors, and then we'll proceed from there.
How about the trade with Miller? Just go through what your thought process was and what kind of player are you getting?
Well, I think you're always looking for right shot defensemen in the National Hockey League, and we certainly followed Colin very closely over the last couple of years. He's a player that back in even the American Hockey League when he was playing for Manchester, had some playoff series in our teams in Wilkes-Barre against him, and he was always a very dominant player at that level. And I think he brings a very strong shot from the point, an ability to make that first pass come in on his own, another good skater. So we just felt it was an opportunity to grab a good player to help our group.
You have 5 ready defensemen. I mean, there might be too many. Do you plan to make another move? Do you want to move a defenseman?
Right now, this gives us options, and then it gives Ralph flexibility with the lineup. You look at our defense core the last couple of years, we've dealt with injuries, so we wanted to improve our competition and improve our depth, and that's why we did the move.
How important was it to get another player with playoff experience to add to the room?
Well, I have the utmost respect what Vegas has done over the last couple of years. It's an amazing story for our league, and we talked a lot about it with Brandon Montour coming into our group, the playoff experience he got in Anaheim, and it's the same thing here with Colin. At every level, he's had an opportunity to play in playoffs, and especially the last 2 or 3 seasons, getting that much playoff experience, playing in those situations, the intensity, just having that understanding of what it takes to get to the playoffs and to have success in the playoffs.
What do you anticipate your activity is come Monday?
I think it's always difficult to predict. We've had some good conversations throughout the week, both myself, Ralph, and the rest of our management group with players. But I think what you've seen in the league is you just never know when trades or signings are going to happen. And I feel very comfortable that we're going to be adding to our depth in our organization and areas that we wanted to improve on. And we'll see. We'll just continue our dialogue with players and other teams to see if we can continue to improve our team in general.
How do you feel about offer sheets? Is that an avenue you would take, or how do you feel about them?
I think you always have to look at it as an option if it's actually going to be improving our team. But I feel very comfortable in talking to you right now that that's not an avenue where we're close right now.
You say talking about depth through free agency, would you be in the running for some of the higher priced guys at the top of the list?
We've had some discussions, but hey, that's the beauty of them being a free agent. They have a lot of teams after them, so we'll see how the next couple days plan out.
Jason, you talk about having options, and certainly you have a lot of right shot D. And there were, frankly, reports that Ristolainen asked out. Where is Ristolainen's status in this organization?
Well, I think we had the discussion last week about it, and I've been excited the dialogue that he's had with Ralph over the last couple months and with our organization. And yeah, there's going to be rumors because he's a player that teams want to go after and teams want to have, and it's part of the reason why we wanted to bring in Colin Miller to our group, right shot defenseman under contract. Under good contracts in both Risto and Colin Miller. So I think there's always a demand for those type of players.
Would you classify Risto asking out as untrue?
I would definitely, look, I'm not going to get into conversations with what I have with my players. And I know however I answer that question is going to have speculation all over it. But my conversations with my players I'm going to keep that between myself and the player.
Say competition for spots. It's 9 defensemen right now. There are regional contracts that I know it is competition, but it's a little less than flexible when it comes down to it. It just feels like there's a bulge there that needs to be relieved, so to speak, through the roster.
We've dealt with a lot of injuries over the last couple of years, so I'm never going to be in a situation where I'm complaining about too much depth at especially at defense. And we're very excited about some of the young players that we had here in development camp this year. Some within our organization that have certainly improved in Rochester, and we think they're on the cusp of things. But we also don't want to force young players into those situations. So if we can have depth in a position, an important position like D, we're excited about it.
What's your
plan
plan?
to sign a few veterans for Rochester?
Pardon me?
Is the plan to sign a few veterans for Rochester?
Yes, there's, we talked about it last week, number 3 goalies. It's very important for us. And then we like our depth in defense. But I think if we can find an opportunity to maybe bring in 1 or 2 forwards, we'll certainly look at that.
You
What's
want
your
your
plan with
forwards
Murray?
to.
Murray's a guy that got to find a place to play. I
Yep.
mean, what is your plan with him right now?
We've talked to him, and we'll continue the dialogue with him and his advisors over the next couple of months here. Yeah, he's sort of in a situation where he had a great year in Youngstown, which was good to see. But those are the things that we still have to figure out a strong plan for him moving forward.
If you don't land a top 6 forward, is it nice to have Victor Olofsson, a guy who could be an option?
No, we look at our young wingers, and we view that as sort of source of strength within our organization. I think there'll be competition for spots there, whether it's Victor Olofsson, Alex Nylander, Tage Thompson, C.J. Smith. We like the options there, and that's what it's why we made the move on defense, bringing more competition. We think we have good competition on the wings there too, and that's what should be a good, interesting training camp.
But as much as you like these young guys, and you can't judge a lot, how encouraged have you been by Olofsson this week? He looks like a guy who stands out, like he should.
No, I think, look, Victor's come in and done a great job throughout the entire week, and it's great seeing him take his office training very seriously, and it's great seeing him, just how he's interacting from a leadership perspective with our young players. But what we've been very proud as an organization is we see that a lot of growth from all our players that have been in Rochester. And it just goes to show you that Chris Taylor and his group down there are doing the right things. And whether that's Olofsson or just you see the details that Will Borgen's doing on the drills out there, how they conduct themselves with some of our younger players, helping them along the way, because it is a little intimidating. You get drafted last week, come to Buffalo right away as an 18-year-old, having some of these so-called veteran players in our development camp, I think have certainly helped out. I'm very proud of how they're interacting.
Thanks, guys. Like for you so far?
Well, just another opportunity to, first of all, of course, get to know our depth in player personnel and the way the recruiting's been going. You can see there's a lot of character here. It's been a really enjoyable opportunity to get to know the players we drafted this year, but also players from the past in the development process here with the Sabres. But on top of that, I think it's really important for me to spend time with the staff, the extended staff, and you get to see what a strong group we have here. If you look at in all the different areas, whether it's the mental foundations that we have, the physical training, strength and conditioning, the medical team, the equipment, the time I'm able to integrate with them is important moving forward. So on 2 levels here, lots of opportunity to get to know the organization deeper and to begin the job.
What's your reaction to bringing in a veteran defenseman like Colin Miller, who's been on a Stanley Cup final team recently?
I spoke with Colin this morning. He's up in Sault Ste. Marie, and we had an excellent conversation. His energy that he brings, the experiences he's had now with Vegas, a team that plays on its toes, that likes to have an aggressive defensive style, really suits us. And if you look at his last 6-7 years, I think he's been in the playoffs every year except for 1 year, no matter where he's been, and it's where we want to go. So any player we can add with that mileage on him, but the game he plays is exciting. He has a lot of courage, and it sounded like an excellent character on the phone today. And the research we've done is that, and adding character and hockey ability is what we're all about.
It's a lot of right shot defensemen, is it not? I mean, how interested are you to see what Jason has cooked up next?
Well, competition is always good. As a coach, I'm never afraid of depth or competition. Internal competition is the best you can have. That means you've got a good lineup. So let's let the players decide. And first of all, we still have a long way to go through the summer, and it's up of course, Jason's got the lead on that, and we're tightly involved in the conversations. But right now we have a good depth, and I always look at a roster like some of you had asked me about Skinner before we had closed that deal. And my job as a head coach is to look at the players we have today, who are the Buffalo Sabres today, and play with those names and numbers in my head. And that's what I'm going to do right now, and not be distracted by potential changes. They can change all the time. We've spoken about before, somebody can be injured, somebody can be brought in. That's the National Hockey League. You have to be flexible as a coach and wake up in the morning and look at what you have and make the best out of that. And that's what we're going to do here in the summer.
Jason, so that you guys see Rasmus Ristolainen as still a developing player, in what ways do you feel you can get more out of Rasmus?
I don't feel there's a player in this roster that we can't bring to another level if we add some components, whether it's defensively on one or offensive on another, or it's just in a leadership role for players that are evolving. And Risto was also somebody I had a long call with, and I can feel the hunger to want to be an important player first of all in Buffalo, but then in the National Hockey League also going to another level. And I think that more than anything, we're going to be looking for a compact defensive game. We want to be playing aggressive on our toes, and he's got that ability to play aggressively. He's a very physical player, and for us as coaches, it's bringing that into the team concept to make sure we're doing it as a group and that it's done at the right time. And again, I don't see one player here that we're not going to challenge ourselves to improve.
You need goals. How much do you like what a guy like Olofsson can give you if you're looking for someone to pop into that roster?
Yeah, it's been exciting to watch all of the kids here, and of course Victor's somebody who is on the radar. He had an excellent season in Rochester last year, and he also is impressing me with the way he's committed when he doesn't have the puck. He works hard in both directions with equal speed, and a scoring player who's young like that has to first of all be able to play without the puck to be able to break into this roster, and he's definitely an exciting player for the future.
This isn't an evaluation camp, but what do you take away from a few days like this with these kids?
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair to evaluate because we all know they're all coming from different places, and some have been on the ice a few days and some not for months. And I think that what we really try to evaluate here is all our staff is spreading out. Like last night, they took them out in groups, a couple of staff members with 5-6 players, and right through the whole week here, we've been working with them also as people. You know, our mental coaches have been with them, our strength and conditioning have been teaching them, our hockey development coaches have spent a lot of time with them. There's been a lot of one-on-one interaction too. You know, we like to speak about the people we have in the club, and I think that that's important to grow them in a week like this. And they all have a really strong skill set, or they wouldn't have been candidates, or they would have never been drafted or signed as undrafted players. And now it's up to them to grow in all these different areas of the game. It's become so complex to build a professional career here, and some players right at the top of the drafts might walk into the National Hockey League, but everybody else has to pay a price and work extremely hard. Most of the good players in the NHL have put in a couple of years in the American League, and at the same time, parallel to that, have used the resources of the teams to grow and to develop, and that's what this week is really all about. We've got players here that are here for the 6th time, and they haven't complained one single time because they've been able to take something new with them on each and every visit. So that's what this is all about, is filling their toolkit, because in the end the player himself has to live his pro package. We can only give them the tools, we can teach them, we can educate them, but they're in charge of themselves 365 days a year, and if they can continually look for growth, then that's the way they can become a candidate here. And if they ever think they're done and a finished product, it's not going to work.
I know it just happened 15 minutes ago, but what's your level of concern / disappointment, and how much are you holding your breath over what happened to Cousins?
Yeah, I mean, we're still evaluating that, but whatever happens, it's all part of a process. I'm a person that that looks adversity quickly in the eyes and then thinks about what we can do with it and how we can work with it. So that would be my solution. If there's, whether it's a week or whether it's 5 weeks, let's see what the doctors say after he's been evaluated, and then let's work with him to use a different path. You know, maybe if your hands are sore, let's work on your foot speed. So there's always something you can do, and for me, that's completely part of our process. That we're gonna hit bumps, and every individual is gonna hit a bump. It's what we do when those bumps are there.
Thanks, guys.